Good morning. It's that time of the day again. It's 11:30 and that means it's time for First Chapter Fun. If you haven't joined in First Chapter Fun yet, this is a series that runs until the beginning of May. Every day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I read a chapter of a new book, of a different book, every single day, to bring you some light entertainment, introduce you to new authors and hopefully to new books. So we have Natalie join here on Facebook, and she says it's her favourite time of day. That's lovely. I'm so pleased. We have Jennifer, we have Karina, we have Kendra down here on Instagram. We have Judy up on Facebook as well. So I say Facebook down up here because up here I'm recording on Facebook Live. Good morning, Glennie and Dale. And down here I'm recording on Instagram Live, which is why my eyes flicker from screen to screen. Sorry about that if I'm making you feel dizzy. Good morning, Carla. Good morning, Judy. Hello, Sanika as well. Look at that. We have lots and lots of people joining today. This is great. Hi, Hank. The one and only Hank Philippi Ryan has joined us as well. So I'm very excited today to bring you the first chapter of another book by Laurie, or a new book by Laurie Petrou, and it's called Love Heather. So I'm going to hold that up. Isn't that an awesome cover? I think that's a great cover. It's kind of spooky and intriguing, and it's just great. So this is Laurie's third book actually. So let me tell you a little bit about Laurie. She says, this is her bio, she says she's an author, a maker, an educator, tea drinker and a reader. In addition to writing fiction, she's an associate professor at Ryerson's RTA School of Media, where she teaches courses on media theory, digital culture and storytelling. She loves teaching. She's been the lucky recipient of the Dean's Teaching Award for the Faculty of Communication and Design, and she's even done the convocation address in a pinch. Sometimes she does TEDx talks on things like gender or rejection, and sometimes she makes little digital projects. So that really is quite the pedigree there, isn't it? So Love Heather was her third novel. Her first book was actually a book of short stories called Between, which was a Globe and Mail book. So once again, huge accolades there. And her second book, her first novel, but second book, was called Sister of Mine. And that one won awards, people. So Laurie should be joining us, or maybe has already joined us. Just checking, I'm not sure, but not yet, but she should be. Any moment now, she should be joining us live. So let me show you that cover again. I put the tablet a bit too far away. Now I have to flip it. There we go. So that's the cover. Here we are. Oh yes, she is here. Fantastic. There we are. That's Love Heather, and Laurie is watching us on Facebook Live right now, which is brilliant. And hello Becky too, all the way from Switzerland. So let me dig right in to an extract of the first chapter. This is a YA thriller, and it's absolutely fascinating and very, very timely too. So first of all, I have to read you the synopsis. Dearie me, I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is the synopsis for Love Heather by Laurie Petrou. What you see isn't always what you get. Stevie never meant for things to go this far. When she and Dee, defiant, bold, indestructible Dee, started all this, there was a purpose to their acts of vengeance, to put the bullies of Wopine High School back in their place. And 3 months ago, Stevie believed they deserved it. Once her best friend turned on her, the rest of the school followed. Stevie was alone and unprotected with a target on her back. Online, it was worse. It was Dee's idea to get them all back with a few clever pranks, signing each act Love Heather, an homage to her favourite 80s revenge flick. Despite herself, Stevie can't help getting caught up in the payback, revelling in every minute of suffering. And for a while, it works. It seems the meek have inherited the school. But when anonymous students begin joining in, punishing perceived slights with increasingly violent ferocity, the line between villain and vigilante begins to blur. As friends turn on each other and the administration scrambles to regain control, it becomes clear whatever Dee and Stevie started has gained a mind and teeth of its own, and when it finally swallows them whole, one will re-emerge changed with a plan for one final, terrifying act of revenge. Oh, so intriguing. So cool. So this book is already out. It published in October last year. So it's available now for those who have just joined. I am reading the first chapter of Laurie Petrou's third book, Love, Heather. And so here we go. Chapter 1. Episode 65, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Hello, Cinephiles! Flick Chick subscribers, old and new, I'm back, bringing you the best in rants and raves about classic and contemporary films, basically anything that strikes my fancy. In this episode, we talk high school films, that melting pot of cool and cruel, that place that will change you for the better and worse. It's where memories are made, right? In my mind, the very best high school movies are from the 80s and 90s. Of course, that might just be because of the clothes and music. Let's dig in. Lottie and I are in her room, listening to records. She's sitting on the floor with her eyes closed and I'm flopped on her red and blue checkered bedspread, looking through a pile of albums. I look around me at the assorted piles of crap. God, your room's a disaster, I say. She doesn't move but chuckles. I like to think of it more like a statement of self-expression. It's like an art installation. Uh-huh. And what's that cup of juice on the dresser? A science experiment? You could chart my life from the things in this house like rings on a tree. Lottie lives on a nice street, just one over from mine, but prettier, happier. Huge trees, houses from the 80s. She has a great tree house that her dad built when we were kids. I like to make up for the fact that neither of us has siblings. Lottie is not some hipster who just got a record player. It was in this room before she was, like a dinosaur bone found in a cave. The room still has some of the relics of their life before they had Lottie, an embroidered wall hanging of a bright yellow bird, a small painting of a little creek, and some shadowy trees, and a big poster for Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Over the years, Lottie and I have combed through all of her parents' old records, laughing at the covers and playing songs from unheard bands. Now she buys new vinyl too, and she spent her birthday money on decent headphones, not wireless, but still good. I'll come over sometimes and she'll be sitting in the room hidden behind a pile of crap, and I have to follow the cord to locate her. I flip through a book from a stack on her night table. She looks over. You can borrow that if you want, it's really good. Okay, maybe, I say, knowing I won't, tossing it back on the pile. Lottie's into books the way I'm into movies. These have always been our things. Stevie and her movies, my mum proudly tells anyone who'll listen, and her best friend is a reader. Go figure. Sometimes Lottie will start reading a book while I'm there, and I'll just go hang out with her mum. Half the dinners we have together I've helped prepare. I know where they keep their peeler and their measuring cups. My dreams take place in this house. I know its nooks and crannies, the scary basement that still has drawings on the unfinished drywall that Lottie and I did as kids, and the cupboard where all the board games are kept. I know the smell of her room like it's part of me, and until she got taller than me, I used to see her closet as an extension of my own. Are you going to Page's Saturday night? She asks me now, turning around. Yeah, for sure, I say quickly, then pause, picking at a thread on her comforter. I've been nervously looking forward to it all week. I've never been to Page's before, but the way she says it, I kind of wonder if Lottie has been there already. The hierarchy of the high school status system is always shifting on me lately, and Paige is definitely higher on the ladder than either of us. I try to make up some ground. I didn't know you were too, I say. That's cool. Yeah, she asked me ages ago, Lottie says, turning back. She told me to make sure to invite you. I nod and look at an old Dolly Parton album. Yeah, no, she already told me. A while ago, actually. Tit, tat. We don't say anything for a bit, just listen to the record reach its end, the needle skipping over and over with a tick, 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 until Lottie gets up and presses the return button. The needle moves sleepily to its start position, and I wonder when they were hanging out without me, what they were doing. I picture Paige telling Lottie to invite me and wonder if it really was ages ago, and how long exactly. We just started hanging out with Paige and her friends a few weeks ago at one of the school dances. Lottie and I were standing like 9th grade nerds off to the side near the exit when Paige walked in from outside and kind of lurched into us, spilling some Coke from a bottle she was carrying. Oops, she laughed while I shook out my sleeve. She smelled like booze, so I figured it wasn't actually Coke. Brianne Davis called her over from a few feet away, where she was standing with a bunch of guys. Paige ignored her and came up really close to me with a pained look on her pretty face. "I am so sorry," she said, her voice solemn. Lottie laughed, but not meanly, and Paige looked at her shyly and said, "Do you guys want some?" "What the hell?" I said, and Lottie stared at me, surprised. I shrugged, taking a pull of the bottle. She grabbed it from me and did the same. Wilpine High is like every other school. There's a hierarchy. The cool, the pretty, the athletic, the slim, and sometimes, if all else fails, the kids with hustle and brains and chutzpah, they rise to the top. If they're cruel, they punish people for what they wear and how they talk and who they hang out with. They troll kids behind the curtain, throw shade grenades in the backstage life of their little handheld war zones on social. And if they're displeased, they'll drop you, ghost you, and swipe you into non-existence. They do things that no one can really put their fingers on because they're slippery. But when they're nice, they bless you with a smile, a dazzling sparkle of glitter that you find later in the cuffs of your pants, pick out of your teeth and choke on if you're not careful. I know all this. I knew the risks of falling from a height if I tried to climb the ladder. And yet, by the end of the night, we were dancing with Paige, Brianne, Aidan, and a bunch of other popular kids I'd only ever watched from a distance. It was the best time I'd had so far in high school. We shared the drinks, hid from the teachers, stumbled into the bathroom laughing, danced until we were gasping and holding each other up. "I like this girl," Paige announced, holding my hand up to the others like a boxer who'd won a match. "She's so funny." And I preened in the spotlight in spite of myself, hamming it up, being a goof, being funny and fun and up for anything. I winked at Lottie, who rolled her eyes and laughed at me. She knows how insufferable I am. Our whole lives it's been me looking for a spotlight and Lottie calming me down. Lottie danced with her hair in her eyes, her long body bending and swaying. She was careless and happy and drunk. We walked home that night, the two of us, laughing at how funny life was. I mean, what were the chances that Paige would crash into us in the first place? "They aren't that bad," I said, looking at Lottie's flushed face. "I always thought they'd be total bitches because, I don't know. Yeah, they were cool, who knew?" And we grinned our rummy grins, the darkness of the night pouring out in front of us. I woke up with my first hangover and thought it had been a one-time thing, spending the evening with those people. But then I got some text from Paige. I guess I'd given her my number. She sent a lot of barfing emojis that made me smile to myself like I'd gotten a gift. That one night turned into others, and they're my friends now, and Lottie's too. And yes, I know that it could be short-lived, that it could be pulled out from under us, but so far so good, although it feels like Lottie has more leverage with them than I do. Maybe it was a fluke that they happened to be together without me. Still, I hate being left out, and I have to remind myself to keep it in check. I think back on whether there were times when they asked me to do something and I couldn't. There's a yawning space between me and Lottie. She hasn't seemed totally herself lately. She's quieter, distracted, and every time I ask, she says she's fine. I don't know. Things seem different. I can't get a read on her, and I feel a creeping uneasiness. That was... Oh, I've hidden... hidden the tablet underneath the papers now. That was part of the first chapter of this YA thriller by Laurie Petrou. Love, Heather. There we go. You can see it properly now, can't you? Such a fabulous read, such an interesting read. And Laurie says, yay, so interesting to hear my own book read aloud. I hope I did an okay job. It's very nerve-wracking actually reading for other authors and having them watch, because you don't want to mess it up, right? You don't want to I don't know, not interpret their words the way they would. So I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you approved. So this was today's book, Love, Heather. And tomorrow we have, this is a women's fiction by my wonderful friend Molly Fader, who also writes as Molly O'Keefe and M. O'Keefe. She's written 50 books. I mean, seriously, puts me to shame. So this is what we'll be reading from tomorrow, The Bitter and Sweet of Cherry Season. That will be tomorrow's read at 11:30. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode of First Chapter Fun. Tune in again tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. EST. And until then, stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.